This is Season 6 of the Team Roping Journals podcast, The Score. With over 2 million downloads, this is where team ropers talk. Hey everyone, and welcome to the short score for the week of March 28th, 2023. It is also the week of the Bob Feist Invitational, and in honor of that, I want to give you all a special treat. This fall, we drove a few hours south to Pueblo, Colorado to spend the day in the practice pen with the Yates family. JD had just flown in that morning from Brazil. Trey was tuning up for charity horses, and Grandpa Dick was overseeing the entire operation from the back of his next great mount. We'll be rolling out that whole day's footage on roping.com this spring, but given that it's the week of the Feist, and that really makes me think about the sports legends, I figured I'd drop this team roping history commentary for everyone to enjoy today. This is Dick Yates. Today's episode is brought to you by 5-Star Equine Products. 5-Star saddle pads provide the ultimate protection for your horse so you can focus on what really matters. Visit 5starequine.com to purchase the best protection for your horse. Often imitated, never duplicated.
It's kind of amazing, you know, who would ever thought it, that team roping has grew the way it has, and the money involved, and particularly in the lower numbers, and it's been better for everybody, but it's created so much for the horse people and the trucks and the trailers and the ropes and all the equipment you use that it's just unbelievable. And I think it's only just begun, you know. So it's came a long ways, and there's been some pretty smart people behind it that's put it all together, and it's pretty gratifying to me to be able to go at my age and my caliber of roping anymore and run it rope for the money that's out there. It's just unbelievable. You know, back several years ago when we first started rodeoing and jackpotting, it took bigger horses because you roped bigger steers, and normally the scores were longer. And things have changed. The steers have got a lot lighter, and in most instances the scores are shorter. I would say that the good horses back in them days were outstanding because they were bigger, stronger horses, but there wasn't that many of them. And today you can rope on a smaller horse that's probably more athletic because he don't have to be as strong to pull the steers. But the horses have changed a lot. The breeding, I guess, these good well-bred horses anymore, I think, will train themselves if you stay out of their way. I think too many young people and young trainers, they want to go too fast, and instead of let a horse grow at his speed and get better. And if you go to hurrying it, you cause a lot of harm in your horse he don't really make. But if you give him time to make and don't pick on him, a lot of these young trainers pick on a horse too much, and then they'll find a way to get even with you if you do that. The horses are a lot easier to train than they used to be because they're a lot better bred and got a lot more cow in them. And most of the well-bred horses anymore, you don't have to worry about riding them until they're 6 or 8 and worry about them bucking you off or trying to. So, you know, the horses, they've got so many good horses anymore in every discipline. You know, I enjoy watching a good calf horse as much as anything. And it's been enjoyable to watch these girls in the breakaway roping ride so many good horses. And there's a lot of nice horses out there anymore, but they're bred to be good horses, and they're a lot easier to train as a whole. Of course, you're lucky if you come up with a few. You know, you got to go through several to come up with the winners, but there's more of them out there and more nice horses. You know, the thing about scoring a horse, you know, you score a horse the way he wants to score. A lot of people think you want him to stand there perfect, straight, and a lot of horses can and score well. Some horses most of my horses, I like them to turn their head in a little and on just a slight rein and just roll them out of there. But every horse is a little different the way you score him, and I think a lot of particularly the young ropers, don't realize that they need to adapt a little bit to that horse's style, how he will score, than think he has to be standing there just perfect straight every time. I don't think a horse necessarily needs to stand there straight as long as he scores well.
We're going to pause right now to tell you a little bit more about our sponsors at 5 Star Equine Products. 5 Star's exclusive wool quality and craftsmanship has set the standard in the equine industry. 5 Star's durability has been proven in the arena, on the ranch, and on the trail. Custom designs and styles to fit even the toughest of backlines, 5 Star has a pad for your horse. And best of all 5 Star Equine products are handcrafted in the USA. Let 5 Star take the worry out of keeping your horse comfortable while you enjoy the ride. Customize your pad at 5starequine.com.
Well, I tell you, the hardest part to me is getting started quick enough. You know, the scores are short, and I I've always trained the horses to stand there to score and score off of my hand, and sometimes I don't get started quick enough. That's really changed, and of course that's another thing that you kind of get into with the short scores. A horse don't have to score very good to rope in them type of ropings. It sure don't hurt anything, but sometimes my horse scores too good, and I have trouble getting started quick enough. Of course, I used to have quite a bit of game. I could reach a little, but the ticket is, and they have a lot of fast times anymore at the rodeos and everything. But I still say, if you got a good horse and he scores good, you don't have to throw all that rope. You need to score and draw good, and you don't have to be throwing 2 and 3 coals. For me, my deal is try to get out decent and measure him off. I don't get my arm up as quick as I used to, and I want a jump or 2 to measure him off to catch him. My deal is try to get out decent and just go catch him and lead him off. Give that heeler a chance. The ticket to competing and winning is there's a lot more involved in the horsemanship part of it. And JD and Trey's come along real well too, being able to adapt to different horses and do it right and have good horsemanship about them and use their hands well. And there's so many ropers now that probably aren't good horsemen. They can rope, but not very good horsemen. And I think there's a lot of the younger group coming along that they've learned to rope, but they haven't been taught to be good horsemen. But the better ropers are all pretty good horsemen. For years I shot, my therapy was to go shoe a horse every morning, but here in the last couple of years I've kind of had to lay off of my horseshoeing, just getting old, I guess. Maybe lazy, I don't know. But my routine, they rope here every day. And I like to come out and rope if the steers are good and the weather's good. But I don't generally rope. I'll rope 3 or 4 or 5, and that's enough. Hell, I would run 20 and not think anything about it. But I try to do a little bit of it pretty steady, and but sometimes I'll lay off for a week, but not too often. Well, this horse is, what is he, 8, JD? Yep. JD showed this horse at the futurity when he was a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, and what'd you win, 3rd? Yep. And he's just a nice young horse. He's gentle and he's quiet. He scores good and he runs easy and he's smooth. I don't ride them horses very good anymore that's rough. I kind of pick the smooth ones, and this is my pick of the young horses. And he kind of wants to turn his head in a little when I score him. but he leaves there flat and runs easy. Makes my job easy if I do my job. My problem is I don't get ready quick enough a lot of times anymore. But you got to run up there and measure them off and catch them, and that's the name of the game. And a lot of people just go out there and take a couple swings and throw, whether they're in the right spot or not. So you got to get to the right position where your catch works. Other than that, it's just some people make it too complicated. It isn't that complicated. Just go do your job, like going to the office, I guess. As I've got older, the ticket to getting that rope up and getting some speed on it early, and getting it flat so you can catch your target. And I've got kind of slow about that. I don't get it up as quick as I should. I got to really be thinking about it. But the swing's the same. You got to have your arm and shoulder in it, and not your wrist. You don't need wrist action. You need arm and shoulder. That's where the power is. And that's where you keep your loop open, so you got plenty of catching power. But it hadn't changed any. I just got slower doing it. JD and I rodeoed for years, and you kind of thrive on that pressure the more you do it. And I guess that probably hadn't changed. When they put up the money, it makes it kind of gets my adrenaline going, and I guess that's kind of the best way I can explain that. But you just don't beat yourself. Just go do your job, and don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Just go do your thing, and normally it works out. As I told you earlier, my biggest problem at the World Series Opens is not getting started quick enough, and then just get out there and set him up and measure him off and catch him. I think some people get in too big a hurry and don't get them measured off where their catcher works, but like it should. But that's my thinking. Just go do your job. Go measure him off and catch him. See, the sweet spot is at this angle, so you can get a hold of the steer properly. And I've got a kind of a bad habit as I've got older, is getting too tight where I rope at this angle, and you'll wave it off a lot because you can't control your slack. So you need them right out here where you can rope them, and when it gets tight, you can just roll them out of there. And if you rope them at this angle, you don't get a roll. You get them picked up, and then you don't get them turned out of there properly. So the sweet spot is at this angle where you rope right out here, and then your loop works good. You can handle your slack good, and the main thing is, I don't want to ride a horse that goes left before my left hand tells him to. A lot of these guys get them horses to dropping and ducking, and I want when I go left, I want that slack tight and my rope tight. That way, them steers, when they make that first move, their feet come together, and it makes it a lot easier for that heeler to catch. When you catch them, and you're at this angle, dally, your horse is naturally backing off a little, which you want him to, and your rope's tight when you go left. If you go left on a loose rope, that steer his feet won't come together for about 2 jumps. But if that rope's tight, when you get that head bent, that pressure on it, and go left, that steer will probably hop the first time. Because, there's a lot of these people that rope pretty good anymore, but probably the worst thing I see is horsemanship. A lot of them can go catch and a lot more than they probably should, no better than they ride. But I guess that's probably what I see that I don't like more than anything. That just people just don't ride very good.
Whether you need a work saddle pad or a pad to fit your unique style, 5 Star Equine Products has you covered. Hard to fit horse? No problem. 5 Star has been successful in helping with the toughest backlines. Visit their website at 5starequine.com to customize your pad or correspond with their fitting specialist.